Hey guys, it's Joe with Modern Survival Sense. I'm back with another video. It being December 2016. It's coming up on Christmas, and I thought I would post a video showing a couple of gift ideas for, the outdoorsy type person in your life, being it male or female, significant other, or just someone you know. I've pulled together some of the stuff that I've had in previous videos and other stuff that I haven't reviewed yet. And I just wanted to go over some of this and give you some ideas on what you can get for that person in your life regardless of your budget. These items are going to range in price from only, a few dollars all the way up into the hundreds of dollars. So stick around and hopefully you'll see something that piques your interest. Now, if you're interested in any of the stuff that I'm showing in this video, I'll have links in the description below to where you can find these items. You're going to find that a lot of your outdoorsy types of people are going to like the items in this video. Generally speaking, your outdoorsy types of people are going to be those that like to go out into the wilderness and camp in tents and sleeping bags and rough it out in the wilderness. They could be your survivalists, your preppers, the people who are preparing for the end of the world per se, right? The ones that want to be prepared. They're going to like the same types of tools, basically. That's basically what it comes down to, is tools to be able to survive, right? Well, I don't know if you've heard this, but I know I have, that guys like only, 3 types of things generally, or 4 types. And knives, guns, flashlights, and tools, right? Well, everything is a tool. That's what a lot of guys like, is utilitarian types of items that allow them to be prepared to be able to take care of things that need to be taken care of. And that's basically what all of that falls into. So that's what I have in front of you. Now, being the big time knife nut that I am, I'm going to go ahead and start there. I'm going to start with my knives. Now, I'm not going to show you everything in my collection. I'm just going to give you, several different options that you can choose from, modern knives to, your older style basic ones, or even handmade. Now, to start this off, let's go ahead and look at the Opinel. This was something that I reviewed probably, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. This is the Opinel number 6. I think I got the olive wood, so it makes it a little bit more pricey than the standard Opinel number 6. But I believe these can be found for under $10. This does have a locking mechanism, as you can see right there. It's a twist lock. You twist it to unlock it, and then you have a nail groove in which you can open your knife. Now, this is the one I got, was an inox. It's a stainless knife. It features a really thin profile, and it does lock in the open position as well. Now, I know in some countries you cannot have locking blades, and this actually constitutes as a locking blade. So Opinel does offer versions of their knives that are not lockable, so that is always an option also. So this is going to be on your lower end of the price point, but this is a quality knife. Now, it's not going to be your, some sort of tactical knife where you're going to go into some battle with someone with it, but this is a utilitarian knife that's been around for a very long time. It's very well regarded, and for the money, it's really hard to beat. Now, on the same scale, as far as folding knives, we're going to get into your multi-tool. Now, this is a Victorinox electrician in Alox. What makes it Alox is the fact that it has aluminum. I can't remember if it's aluminum oxide scales or just aluminum scales, but it's actually a very nice little multi-tool. And generally on your Swiss Army knives like this, now there's 2 different brands. You have your Victorinox, and then I think it's Wenger, but this is a Victorinox. It is made in Switzerland, and you've got your primary blade on this one, and there's a secondary electrician blade also. So that is also another option, and these are very well regarded. Again, this is not going to be a heavy use knife, but this is, you know, a pocket knife that's not a locking blade that you would be able to use in most instances, even in places where knives are fairly well restricted. Now, if you want to get a little bit pricier, let's see, take a couple more folding knives here. Now, this is a Buck Vantage. This is the smaller version of their Buck Vantage. I think they come in around $25. It is a locking blade. There's no spring assist or anything, but it's a liner lock, as you can see. And it's a very small blade. Now, some people like the larger blades and some like the smaller ones. For me, I find if I was going to want a knife that was very small and compact and in my pocket that I would never notice, this would be my carry of choice. I have several of these, several different models. This is their baseline one. This comes in their 420 high carbon stainless steel with the Boss heat treat. This is made in the USA, which is a very good positive, right, for US workers. It's got their plastic handles, but it is lined with stainless steel. It's really pretty light. And if you put some force behind it, you could get it to flip open with the little flipper on the back. It's really not necessary though, but it is a very nice knife. And that is again by Buck, the Buck Vantage. Let's see, it is the Model 340. Now, on that same vein, I'm going to go ahead and show you another Buck Vantage. This is the Vantage Force Pro. I believe this is still in production. This is their higher end one, or highest end one, I think. I don't think they have one that's higher than that. I think you can still get it for around $75. Now, what makes this different is obviously this is the full-size version, and you can tell the difference between, you know, the smaller version and the larger one. Now, like I said, this is the Vantage Force Pro versus the regular Vantage. It is technically two different lines, but there's not that much different between them. Now, this one, it has that titanium oxide or titanium coated blade, which I really don't care. I mean, it looks nice. It has G10 handles, and it's, you know, 3D sculpted. It looks pretty nice, right? Well, it also has an S30V steel. Check that out. So you're getting a premium steel, nicer handles. It looks aesthetically nicer, and it's a larger blade. So that's always an option as well, if the other one is too small. Now, from a different brand, we have, this is a Kershaw. This is the Cryo 2. I believe so. This is the smaller Cryo. Maybe it's Cryo 1. I think the Cryo 2 was a little bit larger. But this is a blackwashed Cryo from Kershaw. I haven't reviewed this yet, I don't think. It is a spring assisted opening. You can't see it inside there. But there is a spring bar that allows you to open it assisted. It springs to life, right? It's almost like a switchblade, but it's not really. It's just assisted. There's a lot of force you have to put into it to make it flip out. Now, the one downside to this one, I said I haven't reviewed it yet, but there's a downside to these. If you want to open it with that stud, it takes some getting used to. It takes some force too. See, I was able to get it the first time. Now I can't get the thing to come open. I'm putting a lot of force on that thumb stud. So I don't know, maybe it's, you know, something you have to work into, see, to get it to open like that. But generally you're going to want to use the thumb stud, because or not the thumb stud, the flipper on the back, and it does, it flies open. And it's a pretty nice knife. And this is by Kershaw. This is the Blackwash version. I don't think this runs for much. I think it's $30, $35, something like that. Again, if you're interested in any of this stuff, I'll have the links in the description. Alright, I do have a couple more knives to go over. This is a budget fixed blade knife by Mora Knife. I have a few different Mora knives. Mora number 2, which is a wood handle one, is pretty cheap, around $13 to $15, I think. I think this one's a little bit higher. This is the Mora Robust, and this is a carbon steel blade. Let's see if I get a good picture for you guys. And the thing that makes this fancier than some of the other Mora knives is it has a thicker blade, so it's supposed to be able to handle more, right? Now, Mora is known for really good knives. I mean, they're not high end by any means. Like I said, the Mora Robust, this is not their cheapest end knife, but it's not their most expensive either. But it's a little more heavy duty than their baseline Moras. And what's nice about this is it has a really nice grip. It's a rubberized plastic, and your hands aren't going anywhere, whereas the other versions of the Moras, like the Mora number 1 or 2, the wooden handled ones, they're just a piece of wood, and if you actually were to, stab something, like whatever, like if you were digging or something, your hand could technically slip off and graze across the blade. Whereas this one, obviously, you have this guard here and nothing's going to happen. You've got a really nice firm grip, so that's a very good option. And like I said, this is relatively cheap, especially for knives. I mean, knives can go for hundreds if not thousands of dollars, and this is going to run you less than 50, I believe. Alright, so a little bit pricier is going to be, let's get into this one. I haven't reviewed it yet. This is a Gerber. This is actually my first Gerber, and this is the Strongarm. It is a fixed blade knife, full tang, goes all the way to the end. It is made of a 420 high carbon steel, similar to what Buck uses. But I have another 420 fixed blade knife that I reviewed recently that was made in China. This, if you notice, is not made in China. This is made in Portland, Oregon, and that is a definite plus. But what's cool about this is you've got a nice fixed blade knife. I think the blade's about 4 inches long, 4 1/4, something like that. It's full tang, comes with a fairly nice, plastic sheath with a belt strap and retention strap there. And all of that can be had for about $50, which is not bad at all. And again, you've got the guard there, so you've got a really nice firm grip. It's not going anywhere. It's a rubberized plastic, and the blade's coated. Not that it really needs it. It is a stainless blade, but it adds to their whole tactical look, right? And that's what everyone's into nowadays. Alright, I've got 2 more fixed blade knives. Go ahead and set that there. Next, this one, I'll save that one for last because it is the higher end one. Actually, this one is an old favorite. This is the Becker by BK2. This is the older version. The newer ones actually have kind of a powder coat type thing where it's a textured coating on the blade. This is the older style one. Look at that. If you're looking for a beast of a knife, that is your beast. It is a 1/4 inch thick steel, or 1/4 inch thick piece of steel. It's 1095 high carbon steel. It'll take an edge and hold it fairly well, and it's real easy to sharpen as opposed to some of your super steels. Now for the money, it's really hard to beat. I think these are going for about $80 now. But as you can see, I've used it. You can beat the crap out of it and it's not going anywhere. It has been referred to as the Becker train wrecker and all sorts of crazy names, because it is literally a sharpened pry bar. Now if you're not looking for, you know, a crazy knife like that, I mean, it's not that crazy, but you know, if you're not looking for a big thick piece of steel like that, you want something a little bit more conservative. This is one of my favorites also, and this is the SE3. It used to be called the RC3 back when Esse had the rat name. That's interesting. Didn't notice that before. The hex screws have rusted a little bit. I live in Florida now, so the humidity here has probably gotten to it. But like I said, this is the SE3. It actually has custom hand grips on it that I purchased. You can see the tang goes down to there, and these grips afford it another 1/4 inch or so. But it gives it a completely different look, a better grip. You know, you got a choil there if you need to choke up. The blade is 1/8 inch, which is nice for slicing things. It actually, you know, it's a very nice knife. Now this one's going to run you a little bit more. I think currently they're around just over $100, $110 or so. But the thing about the Esse knives is they're made to be used. So if you use it or abuse it and the thing breaks, you know, naturally you don't want to break your tools. But if at some point you break the thing, you call them up and they will replace it. They stand behind their, you know, their products, and that's what's really cool. But yeah, their knives, they always come super sharp. It's made of 1095, similar to the Becker. And the profile on it is really nice. It is very sharp. And again, this is one of those that comes with an injection molded or nylon sheath. It's got a belt clip on it. Comes with a couple of other accessories, I think. It snaps into place. It's pretty nice, right? So yeah, that's about $110. And this is probably one of my favorite knives as well. Everything you see up here is, you know, some of the nicer knives that I have. Now I didn't include everything because not everything is currently available. I'm just trying to show things that are currently available, so if you're interested, you know, you can find them in time. Alright, so that's pretty close to it for knives. If you're looking for something, you know, even crazier, you know, you've got someone in your life that really, really likes knives and they've gotten into traditional knives and other things, you do have other options, especially if they like chopping things, or I said traditional knives. And I pulled this out for the video, but this is, you know, a traditionally made Kukri, and this was made in Nepal. And this is a beast of a knife. The other thing was, you know, the Becker BK2 was 1/4 inch. I think this is somewhere around, ooh, it's close to 3/8. So, if not 5/16. It's pretty damn hefty. And this is a chopper. This is, you know, styled after, you know, a traditional Nepalese Kukri that their military would use. It was something that I liked. They take, you know, old Jeep springs, Jeep leaf springs, and grind them down, heat treat them, and put these, you know, the handle grips on them. And typically when you get that, you're going to get, you know, a sheath that's similar to this. Now, it looks kind of veiny, right? Well, that's because it is. It's actually made out of hide. So this whole thing is handmade. And they make them, you know, individually. So each one's going to have its own little character marks. And it's not, you know, no two are going to be exactly the same. But that is a unique knife that, you know, some knife collectors like myself would like to have, because anyways, it's a nice knife. Okay, I think I've talked about knives long enough. I've given you a whole slew of different knives to choose from. Let's get on to the next subject, which is going to be flashlights. Now, I don't have a whole lot of flashlights I can show here, but I do have 3. Now, on these flashlights, it all depends on what type of, you know, what type of flashlight you like. I've gone around in circles basically over the years, over the types of flashlights, you know, trying to balance battery life with the types of batteries being used, and also form factor. Now, if you're looking for something that's really bright, now this is going to be the cheapest flashlight that you're going to be able to find. Now, I'm not going to say this is, you know, some high-end thing that's, you know, waterproof or anything, but I've had 2 of these for 3 years or so, and I've used them on and off as need be, and you know, they've done their job very well. Now, they are weather sealed, I believe. Let's see. It's been a while since I've opened this up. So yeah, there's an O-ring on both sides, so technically these should be weather sealed. But you know, I'm not going to make that claim. I'm not sure if they did or not. Now, this is an Ultrafire flashlight. Like I said, this is not high-end by any stretch of the imagination. I think I paid $10 each for these. So, and this uses, you know, a trusty old 18650. Like I said, I've gone round and round on the types of flashlights that I like and the batteries I'm using. The 18650s do tend to work. You just have to be careful. I don't want a flashlight that uses 2 of them. And for, you know, their exploding properties, if there's not a safety circuit on it. So basically, when I use the 18650s, I limit it down to a single battery type of, or single cell type of flashlight, and this tends to work well. I do have another flashlight that's similar in brightness to this, but I paid a lot more for it, and that was an O-light, I believe. But like I said, this is going to be your cheapest one. I think in this case the battery might be as expensive, if not more so, than the flashlight itself, but this flashlight is pretty bright. I think it's supposed to put off somewhere around 500 lumens or something, and I paid $10 for it. And like I said, I have 2 of these, and both of them are still working, and they've done very well for being cheap flashlights. You really can't beat it for the price. Now, for, you know, one of my older ones, this is a Rayovac. I'm not sure if this one's available, so I'm sorry if it's not. But my tastes have changed to where I'm trying to stay away from, you know, some of the crazy battery types. So I'm going to, you know, double A's generally, because I can charge double A's outside of wall sockets if I have a, you know, portable charger. So this is another option, and this one's a little bit different because, you know, it's got a momentary switch. I think this is only 100 lumens or something, 120. So it's got a momentary switch, or you can screw it all the way on, and it's full-time on. The cool thing I liked about this, though, is you could take the cap off, and it acts as kind of like a lantern of sorts. Now, I don't use this one much because I have the other two flashlights that I use a lot. And this one, you know, wouldn't be in my pocket because it takes up just too much space, and it's a little bit on the heavier side if I'm just going to be carrying it around all the time. And that's why, for third and last, this is, you know, the flashlight that I carry the most. And this is the Mini MA from FourSevens. And this is, I think it's 100 and something lumens. But it runs off of one single AA battery. And the thing is not much bigger than a AA, right? I mean, you're talking about, that's the AA battery and there's the flashlight. So it's not that much bigger. And that's what I like about it. It's real lightweight. There's not much to it. There's not, you know, you don't have the two sides that could have water get into it. It is weather sealed. It's supposedly waterproof. I have put it in the water and it's, you know, done well enough. So, and it's got, you know, a few different settings. You got low, mid, high, and then if you cycle it a few times, it goes into your, you know, your emergency settings like your SOS and beacon and whatnot. But this actually does very well. And another plus to this flashlight, it will stand on its tail. So you could turn it on, stand it up, and it will shine to the ceiling and light up a room. And you don't have to worry about it falling over, as long as you have a, you know, flat surface. Alright, so that is flashlights. Alright, so now let's talk about fire. Fire is one of those things that I absolutely love, especially when camping. Having a nice bonfire, not bonfire, but a nice campfire is really relaxing, and sitting by it and just enjoying company, enjoying the wilderness. It's real peaceful. So, before you can see a couple of different items. Now, first and foremost, a fairly reliable source of ignition or fire. It's your Zippo. I don't have any fuel in this at the moment. But Zippos are a very nice option for starting fires, and if you have someone who happens to like fire, or dare I say smoke also, Zippo's not necessarily a bad option. I don't suggest smoking though, but that is up to you. Alright, next option. If you want to get a little bit more involved with your gift giving, you can set up a fire kit. Now, this fire kit is, you know, a little dirty from use, but it's a pretty simple idea. You take a waterproof container like this. I think I got this at Walmart for like $5. And then you fill it with items that will allow someone to start a fire if need be. Inside this I have some of these, I forgot what they're called now. They're almost like fire patches. Now they look kind of funny. I'm going to have to do a video on old fire starters, I suppose. Just make sure everything works properly. But yeah, so you take, you know, several different fire starters. These can be found at, I believe it's Home Depot for like $3 for 12, something like that. $4 for 12. That's not too bad. Now these are like emergency fire starters. I've got some Blute cubes. These are like your oh, I'm drawing a blank now. Your solid fuel starters. And this is another good option for starting fires. And waterproof container of matches. And these are UCO weatherproof matches that I've put in a cheaper container that was smaller. The cotton there is not for starting fires, but to keep them from rubbing. As you can see, I've got some jute twine here, which is another good material for starting fires, as well as some fat wood. I've got a few sticks here. Now for ignition sources, you've got your matches, which I use as a last resort, a mish metal fire starter, or fire steel as some would call it. Normally I would have a striker along with this so you can get a nice spark. If you don't have a striker, you can use the back of a knife or a sharp edge to be able to get a strike, like your awl on your Swiss Army knife. Now you want to make sure that you're using the sharpened edge, so you're going to use the back of it, so it has to be in your left hand because it's not going to work very well the other way. So just like so, you can strike a spark to be able to light your tinder. Now another thing I like to keep in my fire kit is a small Bic Lighter. I don't have one in this kit, but I do have others that have the Bic Lighter in it. See, and there's another reason to have a Zippo, right? Now the downside to a Zippo is if you don't use it for a while, the fuel that's inside will evaporate. Now you can get kits for other types of fuel, butane, that allows it to hold it for a longer period of time, but you know, you're talking extra money and you're also having to lug around the fuel. So alright, so like I said, a fire kit is a very good option, especially if the person you're shopping for likes fire. Get that out of the way. Now a couple more options for your fire bug in your life is going to be a stove. Now the stove in front of you, this is the Biolite camp stove. You see, it's a little wood burning fire stove, right? And inside the chamber you see there's a bunch of holes, and that's where air comes through, and that's what this is for generally. Now you got two different things here. This is a generator which takes the heat from inside the chamber. It transfers it through this piece of, it's actually copper. Can't tell it's copper anymore. And it transfers through here, and there's an actual power generator, a TEG, thermoelectric generator. Inside there, it uses the heat from one side and the cool from the other to be able to generate electricity. And what this does is it powers a fan on the inside and charges a battery. And what that fan does is not only does it cool the backside of the TEG generator, a little redundant there, but it also pushes air into your stove to make it more efficient, and pushes air in here so you get a more efficient burn. And it also powers your USB port on the front. So not only can you cook, but you can also power USB devices. Now the output on there is not going to be like your wall output, it's going to be a slower charge, but it also works for, say, USB lights. So it's a cool little thing to be able to have power out in the middle of nowhere while you're cooking. Like I said, that's going to run you about $125. If you're interested in accessories for it, they do have a grill top, and they also have a kettle pot like this, and this is 2 liters, I think, or 1.5 liters pot for boiling water. And it just sits right on top, and it's nice and sturdy. It's not going anywhere. Even if you shake it, you know, wants to stay there. So, and that runs another $50 if that's, you know, what you're looking for. Now, when I was talking about the Zippo, I was talking about the fuel and how it can evaporate. here is a type of lighter, a Ronson, which is, I think it's owned by Zippo now. But this is not US made. This is actually a Chinese made lighter. Now, you know, that may make a difference on whether or not you decide to buy it. But the good thing about this lighter is it is butane. It charges from the bottom like so. And I haven't messed with this in probably close to a year, if not about 10 months or so. So it still works. If you can see that, yep. And it generally works every single time. So that is another very cool option for your fire kit if you want to put, you know, something a little bit nicer than your generic Bic in there. And this will run you probably about 10 bucks. The fuel, you know, obviously is going to cost some money. Not that much though. And unless you're using it, it's just not going to run out. Alright, so if you're looking for a gift for an outdoorsy person, someone who likes to hunt, camp, you know, prepare for, you know, the end of the world or whatever hitting the fan, right? Chances are they like guns as well. And before you is, you know, one that is very popular nowadays, or at least a variation of this is very popular, and that's the AR-15. Generally chambered in a 223 or 5.56 by 45. I don't think you guys have seen the full version of this in my videos as of yet. I know that I did a video where I put together the lower receiver in a previous video. But yep, this is a Palmetto State Armory AR-15. Obviously I have the Mo hand grip. I've got the STR stock. Yes, the STR stock. Difference between the STR and the CTR is the STR. I think the STR is a little sturdier here. It does weigh more, but on both sides of the stock you've got these plungers that allow you to put batteries in there. Now that wasn't a huge deal breaker for me to have those battery compartments, but it also creates a little bit better cheek weld. So on here I've got, you know, your nickel boron bolt carrier group. I've put a P223 on there, and it's just a standard upper, except it is the whatever cold hammer forged barrel from FN with a 1 in 7 twist with standard forearm. I mean, naturally you can't just go buy a gun and give it to someone, but an option that you do have is you could always, you know, get a gift card, or, you know, or buy parts to where they can put one together themselves, because it's really not that difficult. You just need, you know, your lower parts kit. The only part on this that is, it's not registered, but the only part that has to have some sort of background check is this piece of metal right here. Everything else can be purchased outside of that. So if you want to get like a lower parts kit that includes a hand grip and all the pieces that go inside there, and then, you know, as well as, you know, your butt stock, and then your upper receiver assembly with the bolt carrier group and charging handle, you can do that, and then all they'd have to get is that. Or you could get them a gift card and they could do so themselves. The project of putting one of these together is actually pretty fun. You know, it takes, you know, 30 minutes to an hour depending on your skill level, and after that you have a functioning rifle, and this can be used for yeah, pretty much anything you need it for. I mean, for the most part, obviously you're not going to be hunting large game with a 223. That's just not realistic. But, you know, smaller game, small white-tailed deer within a certain range you'll be able to take without too much of an issue. Now I do have the P223, which is a 3-power scope designed for AR-15s. carbine specifically. It's got the little, it's got the range dials on there to be able to adjust on the fly. And it's a pretty nice little scope. I wanted that for a little bit of magnification for shooting at longer distances. Now, with that, you're not going to be shooting, 400 yards. I mean, you could, but generally you're not going to be doing that. And if I'm going to be shooting 400 yards for even hunting, I'm not going to be using this. I'm going to be using something a little bit larger. Now, I mentioned the P223 because that's also another option if they already have the AR-15 and they don't need that, because a lot of people already do, right? Yeah, the P223 is a pretty cool little option for, a low power scope. I think I've got some UTG scope rings on there. But the P223 is a Nikon scope. Like I said, it is pretty nice. It runs, $100, I think. 120. I'll have it posted in the links below. But yeah, I've got the standard front sight base on this. I've got the upgraded, I think that's a Magpul, the steel sight, not the MBus. Oh yeah, that's right. These are the quick release, or not, the thumb screws, not quick release. I might invest in the quick release at some point. So that comes off, and now you have the option to flip up your back sight. And like I said, that's the steel sight from Magpul. It's got two different settings on it. You've got your close range, which is going to be your larger hole, and then you can flip up the smaller hole for a farther shot with backup, your iron sights. It flips down, and I wanted to make sure that came off easy enough because you also have another option for your ARs or any other type of sporting rifle that you're going to be using in close range or fairly close range, and that is a red dot sight. And this is something I don't think I did a video on this one either. Well, this is a genuine Aimpoint. This is something that I had wanted for quite a long time. And this is the Comp M4S. I picked it up like new on eBay, I think, for, let's see if I can get this to pick up. Oh, there it is. There's the dot. So yeah, it's just a simple red dot sight, but these are built like a tank. There has been very little issues with them. And the cool thing about the M4 is that it... Now another option for your AR-15, if you're wanting to spend a little bit more money on an optic, and that is your Aimpoint. Now this is a genuine Aimpoint. It's an M4S. Let's see if I can get the camera to pick up the red dot. Like I said, this is just a red dot. Let's see. There we go. See if I can get a it's on there. If I could, there we go. Nice. So it's got a lot of different settings. I have to crank it up for the camera to see it decently, but like I said, it is a simple red dot. Now these do run for quite a lot, 600 something I think. I think I got this like new, slightly used, whatever, for just a little bit less on eBay. I said this is a genuine one. The cool thing about the M4s as opposed to the other ones is the fact that it uses a AA battery. I've had it for a couple years. Actually, I had the battery on for a full year. I think I set it up how I like it at the setting. I think it was level 7 or something. And I actually had the battery, or had it on for a full year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not joking. The battery on this is supposed to last roughly 8 years at a medium setting. So this is one of those optics where that's why it's $600, right? It's because you put one AA battery in there, you turn it on to the setting that you like, and you leave it alone, and it is available when you pick up the rifle. And it comes with its own little quick release mount. It is a complete all-in-one package, and that's why I got that. So yeah, this is an AR-15 for the most part, in my opinion, complete. It is a 16-inch barrel. It's not something that I would generally shoot out to several hundred yards. We're talking 600 yards or so. It could do it. I would want to have a little bit more magnification than my 3 power, but it's doable. So, like I said, gift card for the rifle, or money for the rifle, and maybe a suggestion, or gift certificate to a certain place. The rifle was from Palmetto State Armory. You got Magpul accessories, other options with the rear sight, which is actually pretty nice. That's one of their steel ones. It's real low profile. The Aimpoint, the Nikon P223, and also, the gift idea for your gun enthusiast is a nice firearm case like this Plano all-weather tactical case. This is very similar to your Pelican cases, except it doesn't have the steep price tag. Now granted, it's not going to be, as heavy duty as a Pelican case, but it's way more case than anyone really needs, and it costs a fraction of the price. Pelican cases go for $300. This can be found on Amazon for like $65, $70. Now this is the 36-inch. It's going to handle, your carbine length AR-15s just fine. If you need it for something a little bit larger, Plano does have a couple different sizes. They've got a 42-inch and I think even a larger double case with wheels and stuff. But Plano's a good option because, this case is pretty nice. It's my favorite case. So, well, I hope this shed a little bit of light on various options for gifts for the outdoorsy types people in your life, be it a significant other or family member. If you like this video, guys, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, if you like any of this stuff, I'll have hopefully all of it in the description below. Until next time, see ya.